Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Action Sports Podcast. Really excited about today's guest, really because he's kind of a younger guest. Not too many guests I have around his age. You're not the youngest guest, that's for sure, but I haven't had too many your age, and that's just primarily due to the industry. Most of the people I talk to are my age and older, or just right around my age in the 30s. I have Quinn. I'm gonna butcher your last name, but I want to say it's Amyotte or Amyotte.
It's Amyotte. Pretty close. Just not the T at the end.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's a lot easier than it looks.
Now, is it French?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where I was like Amyotte or something like that. It's like, maybe.
Yeah, it does. My whole racing career, every time I go racing or something like that, somewhere different, they always say it differently.
Right. I was actually going to just like say, maybe I could totally see it's French because you're from Ontario, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe it is French. Maybe it's not. But no, Quinn, super excited for you to be here, dude.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm pumped to be here. I love talking about this stuff and love talking to guys like you. So I'm excited.
Cool. I appreciate that. Well, let's dive right into the podcast, like into your life. I didn't get a whole lot of understanding. You've been riding since a very young age. You and your brother Bennett, you guys have both been riding quite a bit. In fact, there was a picture I found of you and your brother. You guys are both on an old Yamaha, if I remember right. Old Yamaha, shirts off. And I was going to say something else, but yeah, both your shirts are off. And I'm just like, why is their shirts off? But, it's brotherly love. And then it's funny because right before that picture, there was another one of you and your brother on a bike again. So I knew there was a reason why that was posted that way. But you've been riding since a very, very young age. So let's dive into like your beginnings, how you even got introduced to riding bikes.
Yeah. So my dad, he used to be a big hockey player. He was like really good. He kind of he played for like the Toronto Marlies and stuff. And then when he kind of got out of that, when he moved out of his house and then just got into dirt bikes, just started loving dirt bikes instead of hockey. And then started racing dirt bikes and had his kids, and then they all raced. All my siblings raced, and I have three brothers and a sister, and they all raced before me. So they were all super into it and into snowcross and everything. And then when I came along, they were mainly just onto motocross, just born right into it. My brothers had me riding a bicycle without training wheels when I was like 1.5, 2, I think, like just without the parents home, just sent me down the hill on a bicycle and said, figure it out. So got introduced to it pretty quickly. And then, started racing when I was 4. Just been learning off my siblings and them teaching me everything I know. And my brother Bennett's helped me out a lot. He was really good, and he kind of went up all the way to pro, and then kind of till he started working out a lot, he kind of went separate ways with motocross. But he's still a great rider and has taught me pretty much everything I know. So
how interesting. How much older than you is he?
5 years, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. So that is a pretty good. So is there any between you and him?
Yeah, my sister's in between us.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fascinating. I didn't think he was that much older than you, because like in that picture, you guys look very similar in age, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, no, I believe he's 27. I'm not too sure. I'm gonna get in trouble for this.
He's probably in the other room just like listening, and is like, no, I'm 20. Exactly. I'm 29.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, wrong age.
That young. No, that's cool. So with your parents not really being home, you had the opportunity to get or cut your teeth with siblings. I think from what I've understood and watched, I believe that kids learn so much faster when they have somebody that they trust and believe in. Because I have a 6-year-old daughter that I don't spend enough time probably, so it's probably my fault, but I can't motivate her enough to just ride without training wheels. She just doesn't have that ambition. But when we moved from one apartment to another when I was back in Utah, our next door neighbor, she had a little scooter. And so my daughter got a scooter, and because there was another kid not quite her age, she's a couple years older, but she saw that somebody else was doing it. And so she just clicked real fast, and she became super fast on this little scooter. And I'm like, maybe you're going to be a pro scooter rider. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool to watch. But I feel like
that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly it. Like my brothers were doing it, and I'm like, well, I want to do that. And then they're like, well, just do it. Then they would kind of send me off. And I was always the guinea pig growing up with like bicycle jumps and stuff. They'd build a bicycle jump, and they'd be like, well, you'd be really cool if you jumped it first. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true. So then I'd go for it.
So did you find yourself like in predicaments where, because you tried it first, it was a horrible idea and it was just not a good plan?
all the time.
All the time.
It
Oh, I
happens
love
so
that.
many times.
I love
Yeah,
it. I
but
love the family dynamics.
yeah, I think that's kind of helped me to get where I am, though, for sure.
Yeah, dude, you're doing really well. I mean, even fast forward to today, almost 20 years later, you're part of a big team, right? The
Yep.
man Luke. How do you say that? Man
Yeah,
Luke?
man luck. Yeah,
Man luck.
man luck.
Oh,
So yeah, so man luck the Rock River had its own deal with beforehand with race teams and stuff. Then man luck kind of came in and just kind of partnered with them, and now they work as a team. And yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. So everything in the States that they've already done previously, now man luck just kind of sponsors them, and they're part of the deal now.
Oh, got it. Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was trying to
yeah,
figure that out. I was like, how is this like working together? Because when I would look up Rock River, it was in the States. And
yeah.
then I was getting confused. I was like, okay, well, Manluck, he's from Ontario, so he's how's this working? Like it was really
Yeah.
confusing because I have had pros in the past on the podcast that have done work with guys in like they're from the States and they'd be race team for somebody in Canada. And then I've had guys in Canada be part of a race team down here in the
Yeah.
States. So I was just like, okay, it must be one of those deals. And it kind of sounds like it, I don't really know a whole lot. I'm still learning MX and like how the dynamics work with like with all the teams. It's just, there's so many of them. So
yeah, it is. There is so many. And that's the thing. It's Rock River was like its own thing, like a huge team. Like Chase Sexton used to ride for Rock River and stuff. And then, now they have a pro team, and then their amateur team in the States is like massive. So Man Luck kind of sponsors the pro side of things. And then they still have their own amateur team in the States. That's like one of the biggest amateur teams in, I think, America. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Manluck just a dealership or is it just a team or both?
No, Manluck is like a manufacturing company for like oil rigs and stuff. And then Frank, the owner of Manluck, just loves racing and just got into racing and stuff and just built a team.
No joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he just loves the industry.
No, not really. No. Yeah. Loves just racing. That's kind of why it worked out with the whole Rock River thing, because they already had they're obviously into motocross already, and Frank wanted to get in, so it kind of just worked out good that he kind of partnered with them and they already knew the reins. So yeah.
Fascinating. So then how do you fit in with all of them?
So they raced here in 2019, and that was my rookie year. And then I approached them after my rookie year and talked to them and got to know them and stuff. And then they went to the States for a couple of years. And so I never got a ride with them or anything like that. Then after 2 years ago, because I rode with them last year, they approached me and just said, "Do you still looking for a ride?" kind of deal. Like they're coming back to Canada. And of course, like I was. So yeah, worked out where I was needing a ride and they wanted riders in Canada. So then, yeah, that's how we kind of got together. And then last year was our first year together, and then stuck with them again this year. And it's been great.
Yeah, that is cool. So you raced this series, right? The crown, right? The Triple Crown.
Triple Crown, yeah.
I was gonna say the Queen's Crown. Like, what is the name? It's the Queen's Crown. No, the Triple Crown. So you've done the Triple Crown, but you also came down here in the States and rode a little bit as well.
Yeah, I've kind of been all over the place. Like I raced amateur all through like here and stuff, and then I raced a bunch of amateur races in the States. Me and my brother would go to the races and stuff. And then it was around like 17 or 18 when I really started like being serious and starting to train and stuff, and then went pro in 19, and then kind of went up from there.
Yeah, that's cool. So not only are you crushing it and on the track, on the MX track, you're also crushing it in the pit bike nationals, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like we have a big pit bike track in our backyard, and like that's what I grew up doing. Like I ride pit bikes more than I ride big bikes, so it's fun, and our track's really, really cool. So I like to like post about it, and people love watching it and stuff. So I think just from doing that, I've kind of got a name for myself to be the pit bike guy. And we have like a pit bike race every year and stuff. And then the Pit Bike of Nations came around, and so I messaged them and worked out that I rode for Team Canada for the pit bikes and stuff, which was really cool. And yeah, it was sweet.
That is cool, dude. So I just went through that whole YouTube video that you posted. That's your backyard.
Yeah. The pit bike
Wow.
pit bike races in our backyard. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, dude. You got to if you keep up on something like that, you're going to find yourself over in Pastrana land quite a bit, or quite quickly.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. It's definitely no joke around here.
Yeah, sounds like it and looks like it. I mean, it's a party over that place. So I like that. That's cool. So do you think that there's been a big cross pollination or cross training when it comes to you're riding your pit bikes and then getting into the MX and racing that?
Yeah, big time. I ride 125s more than 110s. So like they have a clutch and bigger wheels and stuff. Just because I'm a taller guy, I just struggle on 110s. But I
Okay.
grew up riding the 125s, and they're like to the point where you can ride them and race them and like learn stuff on them, like learn fundamentals, like you learn how to do wheelies on them and stuff. When you ride a 110, it's kind of like just not comparable at all to a big
Hmm.
bike. So with the 125, you learn quite a bit of stuff that you can relay to a race bike. So I think just riding those things on like a tight pit bike track has helped me out a lot, especially with like arena cross and stuff like that. I think it's helped me out like huge.
Interesting. You think you could change anything if you went back to like really hone in and focusing on a skill set inside the pit bike world that you think would have helped you a lot more with racing?
Yeah, like continuing with like riding pit bikes and stuff with my racing now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think
like if you like I don't know, one of these questions that people say like, "Hey, if you could go back and change anything in your life, what would it be?" Right?
okay.
So
Yep.
at taking a snapshot of your life right now, if you could go back a few years and be like, "Okay, what skill should I have honed in a little bit more as a pit bike rider that would have translated and helped me a lot more today where I could be further with my skills?" So is there something that you would think you would change?
Yeah, the only thing I would really change is like getting like serious earlier. That's pretty much it. Like the pit bike stuff, it's always been there, but it's kind of just been like I've been riding dirt bikes and it's been fun and like I've been decent at it or whatever like that. And then it was kind of a year before I went pro, year or two before I went pro, that I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it and actually start training and stuff. So I think if I kind of got that attitude a few years prior, it would have just been where I'm at now would have been happened earlier, but that's pretty
Okay.
much all I could really think about.
So, what, from understanding you right, you were saying that if you could go back, you would be more serious and you would be a little bit more focused and more serious inside of MX.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
would like,
exactly. Yeah,
you love the pit bike industry, you love what it's about, but you would want to go a little bit more harder, or you would go harder on the MX stuff
yeah, and
instead.
just the training side and everything like that.
Okay. Where do you think you would be today if you did that?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be in a really much different situation. Just
Okay.
maybe happening a bit earlier, like because I turned pro when I was 18, and
Okay.
like people are turning pro when they're like 16 now.
Sure.
So like that's what I mean. Just I don't think I'd really be in much of a different situation. Just maybe a bit earlier
Hmm.
into my career.
Now, being in Canada, though, from what I understand, I could be wrong, but you can correct me if I'm wrong as well. But being pro in Canada seems to be different than being pro down here in the States.
Yeah, definitely. It's not the same. Like we get the same kind of stuff when you get onto a ride in Canada. It's a lot alike, but you're obviously not making the same amount of money. And like there's this the industry isn't as big here. Like it's huge in the
Okay.
States, so they're paying more money. There's more racers, but the series itself is very legit here, and like we are fully committed to racing. Like this is our jobs. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Just the money side of things and like the just how many people are doing it is the big difference.
Sure. I mean, I even had Jess Pettis on not long ago, and he talked a little bit about that. Just the differences, and he same thing though. He's full time, full career. What is it?
Yep.
He's KTM. He's a full KTM
Yeah.
factory rider. So it is. It's interesting to see the difference. And when I had conversations with other pros, Canadian pros, and like, oh yeah, I come down to the States, I'm not pro anymore. I'm like, you're a pro in Canada. It's like it's
Yeah.
completely different rules.
Yeah. No, when I go to the States, I ride pro. Like I rode Budds Creek Pro National. Like I race pro in the States, but I see what they're saying because like I could go to the States and ride A or like pro am at amateur nationals
Sure.
but if I get a pro point in the States, I don't believe I can do that, but I can still do that with just being Canadian pro.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'd rather not because to be honest, like the American amateur kids are fast. So like I'd go there, ride A and probably get beat. So I might as well just go there and ride pro and get beat. So
I mean, it gives you some stuff to work on. And you've been even traveling down here, going to Florida, right?
yeah,
Been
yeah. I go there during the winters and I train like with all the guys and stuff. Like I trained at the Tyler Rattray last winter where Chase Sexton and stuff trains. So it's we're all there. Like we all like all the Canadian guys, we all like understand it. We know what gets brought into it and everything, but they're just on a whole nother level down there. The top guys are, at least.
Interesting. So when you say you guys train together, do you train with other teams?
So we like train at the same facility.
Right. But you guys are same facility. So you guys are actually out on the track together.
Yep.
Interesting.
Everyone, there's no like Honda in Canada has Gopher Dunes, and that's about it. They have their own place to train. But other than that, like we all kind of train together, and I'm like really good friends with a lot of the racers, and I train with majority of them throughout the winter and stuff.
And is that on 250 or is that on 450?
Yeah. So I train on both because you don't want to put too much time on a 250 just because they're not as reliable as a 450. So my team got me a 450 last winter just to train on, just so I can put countless amounts of hours on them and not have to worry about it as much. And then when the season starts getting closer, I'll hop back on a 250 and start racing a 250 again.
No joke. So you train on a big bike, a bigger bike, and then you step back a little bit, and that sounds like it would actually help your skills, because then you're able to, if you can handle the weight and power ratio of a 450, then you're able to really hone in and do very well on a 250. But you're still kind of struggling because you're like, where's that power?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with me being like a taller guy, it's definitely hard for me on a 250. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, deciding if I'm going to go 450 or 250. But yeah, it's definitely nice training on a 450 and then hopping on a 250 and being able to throw it around and stuff. So it helps a lot.
Maybe we should reach out to like Race Tech or somebody like that, or like KYB KYB. Maybe we can reach out to KYB. Can you make your suspension longer? So
exactly.
So Quinn can have a taller bike.
In Europe, they have like works bikes, and like Jeffrey Hurling's, like his frame is bigger than anyone else's frame. Like they just make their bikes bigger. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I did not know that. I got to get some of those guys on the podcast. That's fascinating.
Yeah, they have it's called works bikes. Like even the States guys aren't allowed to have it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what those are all about. That's something new, fascinating. I want to go learn about.
Yeah, they like fully pretty much just make up their own bike.
Yeah, it's a completely custom bike, custom
frame.
Swing arm,
swing arm, subframes. They can make it bigger. Yeah.
So why even start into racing at a young age? Because you said your dad, he was hockey, and it was. Oh, I know the answer to that question. You already answered it, because your brothers were racing. Your brothers got into racing. So was it because your brothers were racing? That's why you're like, maybe that's what I want to do. I want to get into racing as well. Or did they kind of like push you into it?
No, like there was honestly, like there was just not even like an option really. Like it was like we were going to the races every single weekend, and like I played hockey when I was younger too, but we were racing either way. So it was kind of like I was there racing and I was doing decent. And like, I used to I snowboard and like, I do a lot of other things, but when I was younger, I'd play hockey, snowboard, BMX, like whatever. And then it was kind of to the point where it was like, hey, well, I'm going to have to pick one of these or none of them kind of deal.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of when I stuck with motocross. And then, it was like my family was racing every single weekend. So it was not like I had one sibling that was racing dirt bikes and one sibling that was doing something else that I could be like, oh, well, maybe I'll try this out, or maybe I'll try this out. It was just always motocross, and like that's pretty much all I know. So
okay, no, that makes sense. Did you try racing any other type of series, any other type of racing?
No, just motocross,
just MX.
Yeah, my siblings used to race snowcross a bit, but when I was born, they got out of it.
I've talked to a couple guys that were into MX and did a lot of MX, and then they switched over to hard enduro and just fell in love with it. Like,
like I do like some woods races every once in a while. Where I live, I have like a bunch of trails. Like I leave my house and like can just do hours of trail riding without touching the same trail. Wow. So I like really enjoy it. So at the end of the season, I always do like a couple woods races and stuff, but I couldn't see myself like just racing woods.
Maybe we'll have to get you like come down to TKO and take a look at TKO down in Nashville. I think that would actually conflict with your racing schedule. I think it does. Oh, that's cool though. That's fascinating. So have you guys always been racing the Triple Crown, or is the Triple Crown not old enough for your whole family to be racing through it?
So no, it used to be called CRMC or CMRC. Used to be CMRC, and same thing, exact same thing, just had different owners and stuff. So there was always like, I think we had like three amateur series in Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was always the one pro series. So it's the exact same as today, just different names and different owners. Yeah.
So your family's been racing that quite a while then. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I like that. So just to kind of catch everything up, started out at a young age riding bikes. Brothers made you. Got into motocross. Brothers made you. Came down and did really, really well. Maybe brothers made you do that too. But there's a pretty cool through line here where it's like this lifestyle that you've been creating for yourself has been really cool. You said your brother went pro. Did he kind of make it to the same level you did, or is that what I was understanding earlier, where you surpassed what he was doing?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess I could say that. Yeah, he definitely like had the speed to go pro. But when you go pro, you gotta add all the other pieces together, like working out and committing to motocross and like diet and stuff. And he was really fast, but just never put in the effort. He would race, do really good, and then kind of whatever. He never really cared that much to go pro. So he kind of ventured off and do his own things. And I like when I got to the point, it's like, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to have to work for it. He didn't really want to go pro, I guess.
So why work so hard for it? Why was it something that you wanted so bad?
I've always wanted to be pro. Like that's just kind of my dream always as a kid and stuff. So when I had the opportunity, like when I was racing intermediate, so that'd be like B class, you're allowed to race a pro race as an intermediate, a couple pro races until you get a point. And then the following year you have to go pro. So I raced that and I did decent. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe this could actually be something. So then I started training and stuff. And then, my rookie year went good. So I was like, oh, well, looks like I can actually do this.
Yeah. If you have a talent, you have a knack for something, I mean, why not pursue it? Right. That's kind of what
exactly.
I'm bummed. I'll be truthful with you. I'm bummed to hear that your brother, he had that talent, but he didn't have the ambition, or maybe the ambition fleeted from him because he didn't want to give up a couple things of his life to get to it, which to everybody's respect, that's totally fine. I'm just bummed because I've heard this more than once from athletes, where some athletes are just naturally born extremely talented, where others have to fight and fight and fight for it. And they do really, really, really well though. I couldn't, maybe you could say maybe Chad Reed was one of those guys where he's a very talented dude and rode his butt off. But man, there were guys that would just come up and whip him every single year.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard that dude tried, I could say, I could be wrong, but I want to say he's the longest career as a supercross racer, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Over 20 years, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was a kid, he was racing, and I'm 32. And so I was like, as a kid, I was watching him race. And then he retired last year, 2020, I think was the year he was going to
finish. I think so. And he's back racing too now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's racing that World Supercross series or whatever. So,
okay, that's funny. But again, it was like I just kept seeing him. He would do well. He did really well. He would win races, but he just would get whipped by there was other guys that were just faster, and it was just like a crazy.
Always
weird
how
thing.
It goes. Yeah. Like I'm good enough on a bike that like I needed to do the work though to get to the next step. Like I couldn't just like reach that step without doing the work and stuff. And I think I'm not upset about that. I like doing the work, and I think it has helped me as a racer, like having to do that work, because there's a lot of kids that come in and they're just so fast that they like don't think they have to do any work. And then they go pro and it's like, oh crap, like I can't do 230+2s, but I can go really fast. And that's kind of the thing that I never had to really deal with, because I always worked because I had to work to go faster. So I never really had to struggle with the fitness part of things, which was I'm not upset about.
Yeah, I like that perspective. It's like the struggle that other people have of like actually working hard, and they're talented, but they just don't want to work hard. But yet you're admitting that your talent's not on par with theirs in the beginning, but because you work your butt off for it, you're comparable to them, but you're able to overcome little obstacles that they get hung up on. And you honestly you feel bad for them, which I think is really cool. Like that is a good mindset.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of kids I race against. Like same ideas like you were saying with Chad Reed. Like I've been pro for 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, 3 years now. And like there's always a young kid coming up and beating me. And it's like, but they're just so fast. And then we go to like a race like Gopher Dunes where it's like just straight fitness. And then that's kind of where I will do better than the young kid coming in just because I have that fitness side of things. But go to a track where it's not so physically demanding and I just get smoked. So it's kind of like, yeah, so it's kind of, I have to deal with that. I have to deal with young kids coming in and beating me, but I just got to know that my fitness is there and stuff. So
Yeah, and you keep at it, you'll surpass and just be top notch. What do you feel is going to be the next catalyst to kind of work up the next level to the 450s?
I don't know. I think it's just keep working. I worked a bunch this winter. I like worked more than I ever have towards racing.
Or are you talking like?
Yeah, no, like fitness, like working like towards motocross. Like I've always had a job in the off season, and then just to pay for things. And then this past winter, I worked less, and then went down to Florida earlier, and was just like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put as much time in as I can. And then I put a good like 3 months of training and riding and everything in. And then this year it worked. I feel like I did pretty good this year. So I think just doing that again, just continuing to pretty much devote my entire life to it, not kind of breaking it into pieces.
If you had to lay out your schedule, your life during a year, you'd say that let's start in January 1st. January 1st, for example, you would be at a compound or you'd be heading someplace to start training and just be there for January, February, March, maybe April. Yeah. Because races start in May or June?
May-ish or like late May. Yeah.
Late May. That's what I thought. So you would be at a compound and then you would go race up till I think last month, August? Was it August that it ended or September?
Yeah, but we're still kind of racing right now. Like we're in Supercross right now, but it's like, there's 3 weekends, but they're like a month apart. So it's like, it's with motocross, it's back-to-back weekends. Like you got to devote that certain amount of time to motocross. Like that's all you're doing because you race and then you recover and like get ready for the next weekend. But with this, it's like I raced Gopher Dunes 4 weeks ago, and then I raced last weekend, and then I don't race Calgary, which is the last round, until Halloween weekend. So there's a lot more time in between, and then I can do other things. Like I've been working and stuff on the off time. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Once the season ends, I kind of go back to work for a few months and make some more money. And then just kind of because we have to, I don't like relying on like my family or stuff like that. I like to do it myself. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it on my own. So I like to get some money of my own and then go down south. And then my parents are always there to help me and everything, which is awesome. My family's so supportive. And then I train for however long. I work for a couple months and then train and then race and then work for a couple months, kind of, while people I'm racing against just don't have that working part of it. They just only focus on racing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the step that I'd like to take, where it's just solely racing.
Right. And so then you're able to bring an income, you make some money doing it where you can do it full time, go race.
Exactly.
Then go and do that. So I want to talk about just a quick note for those that maybe not know. If you go full time like that, you're going to be getting a salary or a certain amount of money from the race team. And then you'll get your bonuses and plus the cash purse if you win the race, right?
The team pays you salary and then the bonuses or whatever like that, whatever they feel like giving you. And then so if racing wise, you get paid, if you do decently, you get paid every weekend. You get like paid whatever every single weekend. The better you do, the more you get paid.
And you do get to keep the checks as well when if you win the race. They're serious.
Yeah, that's all our own stuff.
Sounds like a good business to get into.
Not a bad business. Not a bad time at all.
Right. But I know it's interesting because a lot of people say just that. It's like, well, I mean, you should, I'd love to just be able to ride every single weekend and get paid to go do it. Like, must be nice. Right. But it's something that they don't hear. What you're saying is it's not just like it's not like I'm a weekend warrior just having fun. No, it's more of like, it's fun, but it's work. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Like from January till the end of the season, it's end of the motocross season, at least Supercross season, it's not, for us at least, it's not as serious. So it's kind of like you can lay back a little bit more, but from January to the end of the motocross season, it's like training every single day, like working out every single day, riding every single day, like no party and not really having like fun with your buddies or anything like that. It's like serious racing all the time. Like my girlfriend always bugs me about it, but it's like, this is what I got to do.
No, that makes sense, dude. And I totally see that. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's talk about sponsorships. Let's talk about your relationship. Who was your very first sponsor besides mom and dad?
That's a good question. Probably my first real sponsor was
And what is a real sponsor? Tell me what do
like
you for you?
Giving me free stuff or
Okay.
like paying me or helping me out. It's I've always had like little sponsors here and there that'll like give me graphics or whatever for like 15% off or little things like that. But I think the first guy that really helped me was actually our buddy, Jesse Aubin. He started up this little company and got sponsored by TLD, like the gear company.
Nice.
So he gave me gear for a season and like gave me some money and stuff like that to race. And I think that was probably the first real sponsor I had racing. I think I was probably 16 then.
Oh, wow. So what, 6 years ago, give or take?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. No, that's not bad at all. I mean, being able to get a little bit of money early on like that. Plus mom and dad help you out and stuff like that. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
When you're compared to that to what you're doing now, what are some of the big differences between just being like a privateer like that to then actually working with a race team?
The biggest thing like difference is I don't really have to spend any money. That's like the biggest thing is they supply majority of everything. So I might not be getting paid the amount that other racers are getting paid on other teams and stuff, but I'm not spending as much money as you spend as a privateer. Privateer, you're paying for your bikes, paying for if you have a gear sponsor, they give you your gear or whatever, but most people are paying for the bikes, their gear, their entry fees to get to the races and everything. But as soon as mainly when you get on a team, that's all covered. And that's kind of the biggest jump that you can make.
Been a pretty good jump then.
Yeah, it's a good jump. Like the Manlek team has helped me out amazing with that. But that's once you get into that position, then that's when you start wanting to do better to get paid more and blah, blah, blah. And making, like I said earlier, like just solely motocross career.
So in the off season, what do you do for work?
I work as a millwright. I work like welding and fabricating things. There's a guy who lives on my street. He used to race motocross. And in 19, I was looking for a job during the winter because my parents kind of told me that it's like, if you want to do it yourself kind of deal. Like they're obviously backing me, but they said like, you got to make some of your own money, which obviously that can make sense. And then, so I got this job, ended up being like a really good job. Obviously millwright's a good job. He's been super cool with letting me take time off, go down south, train. And then whenever I'm done racing, go back to working and stuff. So that's been a huge help. Not many people get that opportunity to do both. So I've been very blessed with that, which is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. That is cool. So are you working there like right now, starting to work there during certain days?
Yeah, every once in a while. Not currently right now because I'm still racing and stuff. I've been helping out my dad with his business a little bit right now. And then, once Supercross is over, I'll go back to working with him.
Oh, I like that, dude. I like the dedication that you have and the hard work that you've been putting into it, because for wanting to create this lifestyle, I mean, you're still 22 years old, you're young, you still have, 10 to 15. I mean, heck, you want to go to Reed's status, you got 20 more years to really push yourself. I don't foresee like the necessity to quit. I think most people what I've understood is most end up leaving or quitting because either they have enough money built up or they're just not as talented anymore, or I don't know. It just kind of seems like it's a weird thing where you could race and race and race until the day you die, but some people just say, "Oh, this is enough. I'm done."
Yeah.
When I don't know. And maybe at that point they have big enough contracts where they said, well, I can leave the industry, still be a marketer or, work for the advertisement section and still help out. I mean, James Stewart started up his own podcast recently.
Yeah.
And I don't know I'm sure he's going to be doing very well with it because a lot of people really liked him. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan, but a lot of people are. A lot of people really like the Bubba Scrub. So he'll do well. And that's just kind of opens up other doors for people to like yourself to get in and do certain things. So when we step back and talk about these things as we wind up, the podcasts, working with these companies, how does Quinn give back to the companies or the sponsors?
A lot of it like nowadays is through social media, and I try to pump that as much as I can. You know,
Yeah,
it's
like
something
1,400
that's
posts. So yeah, I can see.
yeah, yeah. It's something that's just like so easy and people love it. Like sponsors love it. And it's, I don't know why most, like more people don't like, there's a lot of people that in our industry that are like very, very good and they don't post that much or do something like that. And I think it's just so easy. Like my team pays these photographers to take photos and videos of us every weekend. So it's like, why not use every photo and everything that we get? Like, why would we just keep them to ourselves? And because every photo, their sponsors are covered on our bikes, on our gear. So it's like the more you post, the more exposure that sponsor gets. So I
Yeah.
think just the biggest thing is through social media, and yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, I think.
So far, the company's been happy. They have like coached you and said, this is what we would expect from you though, as well.
Not really. No, it's kind of like I've always kind of done the social media thing. So I think that once I get with a company or something like that, it kind of just happens. Like if I wasn't so good at it, like I know there's people that aren't good at social media. The teams or whatever will tell them like, hey, you need to post more. You need to tag these people or blah blah blah. When you get with like say when I got with Manluck, they kind of sent me a list of who I need to tag in my posts.
Mm.
And then that's pretty much it. So like I'll make a post and then I'll make sure I tag those people and then that's about it.
Gives you a lot more exposure. People see those posts and they get a lot more exposure to the company. So totally see that. Well, Quinn, this has been a lot of fun, dude. I appreciate you coming onto the podcast and getting to hang out, learn a lot more from you. I really do appreciate it. Let's have you drop your handles where people can find you and we'll sign off.
Yeah. My Instagram's Quinn.Amyotte. And then everything else is just Quinn Amyotte, I think. Sorry, but yeah, I got YouTube, Instagram. That's pretty much it. I just mainly post on Instagram and stuff. I got a TikTok, but I don't really post much on there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me on here and everything. It's been awesome.
Yeah, 100%, dude. It's super stoked you came on. So we'll catch you later.
Right on. Thank you, man.
Yeah.